What if Adolf Hitler never got the chance to pull the trigger? What if his Reich didn't fall from within, but was consumed in a flash that rewrote the future of civilization? Long before Berlin became the epicenter of fascism, it was merely a distant outpost in the forests of Germania. Roman legions clashed with tribal warbands and failed to tame the wild lands. Over centuries, this soil bred empires: Prussia, the Holy Roman Empire, the German Reich. Berlin became a symbol of relentless ambition, a place where philosophy met militarism. As steel, coal, and blood fueled its rise, the city stood defiant through revolutions and wars. But in 1945, that legacy would meet an unnatural end, not through siege, not through surrender, but through a single world-ending explosion that erased a millennium of power. In this alternate timeline, Truman doesn't wait for Japan. Faced with Soviet advances and a stubborn Reich, he chooses Berlin to display America's new weapon. Military planners override moral hesitation. The bomb, originally intended for Japan, is rerouted. A modified B-29 makes a daring, dangerous Atlantic flight. The Allies keep silent, fearing backlash. At 9:12 a.m. on July 16th, Berlin ceases to exist. The uranium device turns the Reich capital into a sunlit storm of death. It is the most extreme military action in recorded history, a political warning, a scientific horror, and the end of Nazi Germany in a single breath. The world, stunned and unprepared, enters a new era where diplomacy dies in fire and war becomes an act of extinction rather than conquest. When the bomb detonates, it doesn't just destroy, it disintegrates. The Reichstag collapses in heat waves. The Führer bunker is incinerated before its occupants can act. Iconic monuments are obliterated, their ghosts etched only in scorched shadows. The city's core vanishes, leaving a crater wide and deep. No battle, no glory, no surrender, just instant annihilation. Over 200,000 people die in minutes. Global radio signals fall silent. The Allies stand frozen. Even the Soviets retreat, unsure if a second blast is imminent. For the first time in history, the world understands that entire civilizations can be wiped away, not over centuries, but in seconds. And in that moment, humanity glimpses its potential future. An age where no ideology, no city, no symbol is safe from total erasure. The Red Army halts 40 kilometers east of Ground Zero. Their scouts return sick, coughing blood. Stalin realizes the West has a weapon beyond imagination. The Cold War is born not in mistrust, but in immediate defeat. Truman sends no apology. The US demands post-war terms. Britain and France fall into line. The Soviets begin scrambling their scientists, terrified they're a decade behind. Berlin's destruction doesn't just prevent a battle, it rearranges the global chessboard. Occupation zones shift, influence fractures. Germany is left a hollow state, leaderless, radioactive, defeated. The power vacuum doesn't get filled by tanks, it gets filled by silence. And in that silence, new empires are born. Ones built not on ideology, but on who owns the light that falls after the flash. Without Berlin, Germany becomes a body without a heart. Bonn is chosen as an administrative capital, but it lacks vision. The cultural soul of Germany, its libraries, universities, museums, is incinerated. Architects of post-war peace walk gingerly, unsure how to rebuild a nation missing its center. There is no Berlin airlift, no Cold War propaganda wall, just toxic soil and grieving survivors. The German economy slowly recovers, but nationalism never does. Youth grow up without a city to romanticize. Artists turn trauma into movements. Philosophers replace soldiers. With no capital to rally around, Germany becomes decentralized, cautious, haunted. The past is not remembered, it is feared. The map may show Germany whole, but its people carry the weight of a vanished identity, scattered, hollowed, and irrevocably changed. The Cold War begins under a mushroom cloud. NATO isn't formed from strategy, it's formed from fear. Berlin isn't a front line, it's a crater. America gains unprecedented leverage in post-war Europe. Diplomats sign treaties with trembling hands. Proxy wars begin earlier, more brutal, more urgent. The Soviets test their first bomb in panic. France rushes its program. But the image of Berlin, frozen mid-burn in every newspaper, becomes the great equalizer. Leaders everywhere know the US is not bluffing. Fear keeps missiles in silos and soldiers behind borders. The nuclear doctrine is born not from planning, but from trauma made visible. In this world, deterrence isn't theory, it's history, with Berlin as the world's first and most permanent nuclear sermon. July 16th becomes a planetary day of reckoning. Berlin Day is marked in silence, reflection, and in some places, outrage. The ruins of the city are preserved under translucent domes. No reconstruction is allowed. It is the only capital on Earth intentionally left as a monument to terror. School curriculums make visiting the Berlin crater mandatory. Artists use the void as canvas. Musicians compose requiems named after districts that no longer exist. Activists march not for Berlin, but against every war that might create another one. Humanity doesn't forget. It engraves the trauma into culture, into law, into religion. Never again becomes doctrine. Berlin becomes Earth's collective grave, haunting every politician's podium, every general's command, every child's dream of peace. Germany, missing its capital and its history, reinvents itself. It abandons military ambition and turns to soft power. Bonn is efficient, but in the 1990s, a new city rises, Fernestadt. Designed to be peaceful, ecological, and post-national, it rejects traditional monuments. Instead, it honors cooperation, memory, and science. Germany leads the EU not with tanks, but with treaties. Its constitution outlaws nuclear energy and arms. Its universities focus on ethics, peace-building, and renewable energy. German students grow up as guardians of memory, not soldiers of history. In losing its heart, Germany finds a new soul, one defined by conscience, not conquest. Its anthem changes, its military fades, and in the silence left behind, a new kind of greatness emerges, built on humility, not hubris. In 2025, no bomb has fallen since. But the silence is not proof of peace. It's fear held in check. The image of Berlin's annihilation still flickers in the minds of generals and citizens alike. It is taught not just in history classes, but in philosophy, ethics, even design. Peace accords reference Berlin as a clause. Climate change and AI rise as new existential risks. But nuclear fear still binds us. The world walks carefully. And though missiles sleep, humanity knows. The power to unmake cities still exists. Berlin was the first warning. We hope, with trembling hearts, it remains the last. Because one city's erasure became the price of a century's calm, and the eternal shadow we now live under. Our channel is just starting out, and every new subscriber is a building block in its foundation. Please subscribe and hit the bell to motivate us to create more videos.